So I packed up my life in suitcases and barrels, donated what I couldn't take, and moved to a country I'd never even visited. Now I'm starting over from scratch. This year didn't go the way I planned at all. Things happened that I wasn't prepared for, things that made it clear I couldn't stay where I was. So I made a choice, and that choice brought me here. And I wanted to make this video to share where I've been, where I am now, and what I'm learning as I rebuild. So this year really tested me. For those who don't know, I am a stay-at-home working mom. I have a very active and fiery 3-year-old, soon to be 4, and it's hard. I only have one child, y'all, and I was struggling. I thought, if I can't handle this with one child, what does that say about me? But then I realized it wasn't really about me. I realized that it was because of the system and the type of environment I was trying to operate in. I was doing a lot with very little support. It's really hard being a stay-at-home parent. But it's also hard to build a business when you have a young child. And with everything that's just happening in America right now, with the cost of living just rising and rising, and with the state of the economy, unfortunately, historically, it always shows that artists are the first to feel it, and we are also the last to recover from it. This year I kept thinking, this is not what it's supposed to feel like. My body started deteriorating, which took me by surprise. I was living in a fog for a very long time. In the beginning of the year, I said, wait a minute, there's no way I can sustain this. I need childcare, I need support, but I didn't know how to make it happen in the life I was living. You know, there's some things that happens in your life where it could lead you to having a mental breakdown. And for my daughter's sake, I had to sit myself down and say, girl, you're running yourself into the ground. You have to do something about this. I didn't know exactly what to do, but I knew that I couldn't keep living like this, just being in constant survival mode. It was really affecting me mentally, and then also physically as well. And this year was very eye-opening for me. Around that same time, my mom retired and she decided to move to the Dominican Republic. Now, for context, my mom lived and worked in the United States for over 50 years. She migrated from Haiti, and that's what so many people do. They migrate to the US, they work, they build homes back home. Well, they built houses back home so that they can retire on their own land, and also to leave something for their children. That was her goal. She had inherited some land and property from her father, so she had a plan in place. But because of what's happening in Haiti right now, the gang violence, the instability, unfortunately, she couldn't go back. A lot of homes burned down, a lot of neighborhoods are gone. I have family members and friends who lost everything. They had plans to move back to Haiti and they have nothing. And the thing is, it's not like they could rely on insurance to recover what they lost. Everything is just gone. So because of that, because she can't go back to Haiti, she decided, okay, well, DR is right next door, and she already had some family members here, so she decided to retire here. So I called her while she was in DR, and I said, I need help. I need childcare. And when I was just explaining to her some of the challenges I was facing, she said, why don't you just move here? The cost of living is so much lower. You already work online. You have your own business. You'd also have help with your daughter. You'll have a community. Just come and take some time to rest your mind. And at first we were like, okay, maybe we'll move in a couple of years. But things kept happening that made it clear that I couldn't stay in the US anymore. Honestly, it felt like I was being moved by something bigger than me, something bigger than myself. So I'm sitting with this decision and I'm like, okay, but how? How am I even gonna move? I moved before plenty of times within the States, but moving abroad is completely different. Some of the questions I kept asking myself was, how am I going to transport my paintings? How am I going to move all of my belongings? And I kid you not, one day I'm sitting in the living room looking out the window and I'm just thinking about, okay, how am I going to do this? Just keep focusing on the how, like focusing on the logistics. And then a van rolls up in my apartment complex that said door-to-door service from North Carolina and South Carolina to Dominican Republic. And so I quickly took a picture of it because I was like, whoa, this is unbelievable because I need this. This is what I need. So I held on to that information, and this was back in maybe April that this van came into my apartment complex. So fast forward to July, my mom came to help with my daughter, and we're talking about the move because at this point I was like, okay, yeah, this move isn't happening in a couple of years. It's happening in a couple of months. And we're talking about how I'm going to move my things. And she was a bit skeptical about the van that I told her I saw. And while we were having this conversation about, okay, how I'm going to move my belongings, the van rolls up in the apartment complex again. And that's when I knew that this wasn't random. This wasn't a coincidence. This was Spirit answering my questions. So I called them and they were super professional. I'm very, very happy and pleased with their service. I couldn't find a lot of reviews, and so I was kind of nervous, but because the answer kept showing up to my door, I was like, you know what, I'm going to trust this and go with them. And so I packed up my whole life in suitcases and barrels. I ended up removing all of my paintings off of the stretcher. I rolled them all up into these telescope tubes, and that's how I was able to transport my paintings. I feel like this is also part of the lesson that I'm learning to let go of how things were and trusting the new thing that is being built now. So I basically moved into the unknown, literally, not knowing what my life was going to look like. I've never been to DR before. I've been on an island, but I've never been to DR before. And so it was really a leap of faith that I took. When we arrived, we stayed in my mom's apartment until we found this beautiful house. When we came to look at this place, my daughter walked in and she looked at the realtor and she said, "I love my house." And the realtor started laughing. He was like, "Oh, okay." It was like she felt something about this space. And I felt it too, especially when I walked into this garden. This place feels like it's holding me while I'm figuring out who I'm becoming. You know, sometimes life pushes you out of where you are or where you were because it's making space for where you need to be. So far, being here feels like I'm detoxing and desaturating myself from being so busy all the time. I've had no choice but to sit and wait. And that's been one of the hardest things for me. I'm used to doing, but here I'm learning to just be. I keep asking God, why am I here exactly? It's been an internal wrestle for me because I haven't figured out why I'm here as an artist. What's my mission here? The answer that keeps coming back is get to know the land, but I don't fully understand what that means yet. I don't see the connection with the land and my art yet, but I'm trusting it. I'm trusting this process. I walk through this garden every day. I look at the trees, the plants, the way things grow here. I'm meeting new people. The locals have been teaching me things that I never thought I'd be interested in, and they've been so helpful and so friendly. I've been seeing this beautiful way people work together here as a community that's not shown or talked about in the media. I'm seeing what makes us human. What does it mean to be a human being? I've witnessed a lot already in the 2 months that I've been here, and there are things that I would love to share and talk about and perhaps make a documentary showing the beauty that's not being shown. This documentary idea is something I've been sitting with under these palm trees, waiting till the time is right. Before I left the state, my body was in so much pain, especially my left side. And it was getting really hard for me to even paint. I had to wear arthritis gloves because the pain was getting unbearable. Within 3 days of being here, the pain started leaving. I've studied how the body holds stress for years, how trauma gets stored in your nervous system. But knowing something and actually living it, those are completely two different things. I was doing the practices, but you can't heal yourself in the same environment that's making you sick. It doesn't matter how much you know. If where you are keeps you in survival mode, then nothing changes. So I had to leave. Spirit pushed me out of USA. Now I'm finally living what I've been studying. Being here in DR, talking to the locals, I've noticed that they don't play about their rest. They take it very seriously. They're always saying tranquilo. And for those who don't know, tranquilo is how we describe island life here. It's this slower, calmer way of living. It's the opposite of the hustle culture so many of us are used to in North America. People take their time here. There's no rushing. And it could be it could be something that you have to adjust to, especially when you make an appointment with someone and they tell you 10 o'clock, but they show up at noon. But it also doesn't mean sitting around doing nothing. It just means being more intentional with what you choose to do with your time. You can be present. And I'll tell you that I'm so glad to be back on the island in my adulthood because this lifestyle actually prevents burnout. It keeps you from living in high stress and constantly in survival mode. There's space for creativity, for joy. This is the lifestyle that I want my daughter to grow up in. I don't want her to feel like she has to hustle all the time because it creates anxiety and chronic stress. Eventually, your body breaks down. I know because mine almost did. And as creatives, we need that space so that we can be more intentional with our life's work. Building something with hustle also means you have to maintain it with hustle. That's not sustainable. Now I'm in a place where the culture itself values rest and slow living. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is be still and let life meet you there. So that's where I've been. That's where I am. I don't have it all figured out. I'm still asking questions I don't have the answers to yet, but I'm here and I'm choosing to trust the process. I've gone back and forth about whether I should start a completely new channel because I'm not the same person or creator I was when I started. But I've decided to stay right here, to let this channel evolve with me. I think sometimes we outgrow versions of ourselves, but that doesn't always mean we have to start from zero. It just means we're blooming in a new direction. And this has been a pivot year, not just for me, but for a lot of us. So many of us are feeling the call to do something new, to step into what's next, even before we fully understand it. I'm there too, taking my creative practice in a new direction and building from a more restful place. If you're in that space too, sort of in a liminal space in between phases in your life where you're also letting go and starting over in some way, let us know in the comments where you are in your journey. Moving forward, I'll be creating videos here, sharing what I'm learning, what life is like in the DR, how I'm rebuilding as a creative, as an artist. I do have a few videos I recorded before I moved, but never got a chance to edit. So over in the next few weeks, you'll see me back in my old studio, but after that, it will be a new chapter. I've been wanting to make videos on YouTube again, and now that I finally can, I'm really excited to take this into a whole new direction. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been here, thank you so much for waiting. I'm so glad that you all are here. Thank you so much for supporting my channel. I can't wait to show you what I'm rebuilding here. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.